Imagiverse Studios presents Tales from the Horrorweb, an audio-only series based on the short stories by Gavin Pryor. Tonight's story is called Vacation in Terror Swamp. 4 college students are vacationing at a campground where the creature lurks at a nearby swamp. Jason was staying at a cabin with his college classmates, Julian, Richard, and Lucy. They were staying at a campground during their spring break. Julian looked out the window. Outside, he could see the most beautiful sunset. "Do you ever get tired of looking at the sky sometimes?" asked Lucy. "Not much," said Julian. "It's often enough that it just feels so good to just breathe in the fresh air and enjoy the great outdoors with all of your friends," said Lucy. "That's splendid," said Julian. Jason said, "It's great that I chose this campground to stay at while we have a great time checking out the sights and sounds. I heard that there is a tour of a nearby cavern we could go and explore," said Lucy. "Or maybe visit a theme park that's nearby," said Richard. "Nah," said Jason. "I have just been informed that there is some sort of swamp nearby. We can bring our canoes too, so that we can go for a nice, relaxing canoe ride." "That sounds like a great idea," said Lucy. "I have been riding the canoe since I was about 16 years old, when my family went camping in the woods." Half an hour later, they brought their canoes up to the swamp and placed them on the water. After they hopped on the canoes, they paddled their boats with their oars across to move forward. Lucy was looking at its beautiful wildlife and even saw a bullfrog on a lily pad. But Julian could spot something different in the water. He could swear that he saw a creature with yellow eyes just staring at him with blue and gray gills, claws, a tail, and sharp piranha-like teeth. Julian didn't comment on the creature or ask anyone if they had seen it during the canoe trip through the swamp. Jason could also see the same creature that Julian just saw when he was looking through the water. Richard didn't see the creature. Instead, he saw an alligator run into the waters of the swamp. After their canoe trip back to their campsite, Jason asked anyone if they had seen the creature. "The creature was like something straight out of the movie I saw last night," said Jason. "I haven't seen the creature," said Richard. "All I saw were some animals and plants." "I've actually heard about that creature," said Lucy. "It first appeared in 1956. 3 campers went on a boat trip through the same swamp that we went through. They could see the creature with blue and gray gills, sharp teeth, a tail, and claws on its hands. The creature got a hold of the 3 and dragged them into the water. Their bodies were never found. Some say that the creature ate them after it had brought them underwater. But the creature still lives in the swamp, waiting for more victims to drag under the water." "So it has been here before," said Jason. "I wonder if it followed us to our campsite." "I saw the creature too, and I am pretty sure that it won't be following us anytime soon," said Julian. A few hours later, back in their cabin, Julian went to sleep in his room when he woke up to hear a sudden noise coming from outside. Julian got up and went to the window to find the creature walking around the campsite. He noticed that the trash can was knocked over, as the creature hadn't noticed it and tipped it over with its feet. Julian looked away from the window and went back to sleep, thinking that it was someone dressed in a creature suit. The next day, Jason went back to the swamp to find something floating on the water. He approached it and picked it up. It was a backpack. He hurried back to the cabin and went inside his room to see what was inside. He found some sort of black notebook with a pen. "Is that a notebook?" asked Julian. "Yes," said Jason. "I found it inside the backpack that was in the swamp." "I don't know what could be inside it," said Julian, "but I am not sure if we could show this to the cops." Jason opened the notebook and saw many pages containing a description of the creature and how the writer of this notebook discovered it. He wrote that he was staying at this campsite for summer vacation and that he had noticed that a creature went back to the water once he grabbed a person. He did not know where it would take the victim. "I think that's enough," said Julian. "Just let me look at it for a few more minutes," said Jason. The writer also recalled being in a cave where the creature is speculated to live and take its victims. Then it was just blank pages, as if the writer had abandoned the notebook. Lucy came into Jason's room and checked to see what else was inside the backpack that he discovered. Inside was a compass, a pair of binoculars, and a pen that the writer of the notebook had used to write in his notebook. "Why would you find a backpack in the middle of the swamp?" Richard asked. "I just knew what the creature does now," said Jason. "And I don't know if the creature lives in a cave." "That's where the creature supposedly lives," said Lucy. "If that's the case, we will need to find a map to get to the cave," said Jason. "I don't know if we could find it anywhere," said Julian. "Wait," said Lucy. She reached into the front pocket of the backpack to find the map to where the cave is. "I think we found it already," said Jason. "So we can go to the cave to see if the creature lives there?" asked Julian. "I think we are about to find out," said Richard. That night, they went on their canoes and went across the waters of the swamp to get to the cave. Jason kept the map inside his backpack for later. 15 minutes later, they made it to the cave. They got off the canoes and went inside. It was too dark for them to see, so they had to use a flashlight in order to continue. They heard a loud growl in the distance. "This is probably from the creature," Jason said. "What if he finds us and gets us killed?" asked Lucy. "I guess we wouldn't make it out of this cave alive," said Julian. "Well, let's try to hunt down the creature before it kills us," said Richard. They noticed a light coming from the passageway on the right. They slowly approached it and found a doorway to a room in a cave. It had items that were from the victims of the creature. "So this is where the creature lives," said Jason. "I don't know," said Julian. "I think we better leave before it finds out." Just then, the creature went into the room where it had been staying. Jason, Julian, Lucy, and Richard hid behind a nearby stalagmite. The creature had held a metal tackle box in its hands. He went to a nearby rock and placed it down for his collection. The creature suddenly noticed that someone had got inside the cave, so it started to look around the cave to see who went in there. Jason and his friends tried to make a run for it, but the creature had found them and decided to run towards one of them and grab Richard. "Put me down, fish breath!" cried Richard. Jason grabbed a nearby bat from a nearby rock and tried to attack the creature. It missed the impact of the metal baseball bat once Jason had swung it to try to hit its head. Richard fell to the floor, got up, and ran to hide somewhere. Julian tried to pepper spray its eyes, but the spray had no effect on it, as if they were not stung by it. The creature ran to a nearby lake, where it dove underwater. Jason followed it and dove underwater in an attempt to kill the creature. He grabbed a spear to jam the creature in the eye, but he missed it. After many attempts, he managed to stab the creature in the head. It died as the creature fell deeper into the trench below and oozed green blood out of its eyes. Jason rose from the water and went back to the room. I think it's now dead, said Jason. You sure? Asked Julian. We don't know yet, said Jason. But it might still be alive. If the creature comes back, we will know it. Let's get out of here, said Richard. I don't want to be here all night. As soon as they went back to the canoes, they started their 15-minute journey back to the cabin. Lucy was paddling her canoe across the swamp while looking at the wildlife. It was starting to get foggy, so they had to use flashlights on their way back. When we get back, we are definitely going to need to take a break from canoeing tomorrow, said Jason. I don't want to ever think about this creature for at least a week. It's not good for me. Me too, said Julian. I would rather just watch the swamp rather than just bring my canoe here and go across the water to get to somewhere we should not be stumbling upon. Julian, Richard, and Jason were lagging behind Lucy as she stopped her canoe to look at a bullfrog on the lily pad, having insects for a snack. Just then, something rose up from the water and grabbed the boat. The creature got a hold of Lucy and dragged her underwater as she let out a blood-curdling scream. She was never seen again by his friends or anyone else.